Right, good morning, welcome back. Now today, by way of a video log, I want to give you an update on the electric glide. This has been sat on the lift for 4 weeks now, and in the first of these videos, when I stripped it, I said at the end of the video that I'll now take a close look at everything I need and order up the parts ready to put it back together. And it was upon looking closely at what it needs that I discovered there's a serious problem here, and it's a problem that has rattled down the line to make a political situation between the owner, the dealer that supplied it, and other people involved as well. So I've had to stop completely and wait while this situation plays itself out. But before I go anywhere else, I just want to show you exactly what I found and why this has become so complicated. I'll show you. Right, before we look at the stripped off belt, I want to give you an example of what a worn belt looks like, a genuinely worn belt. This belt, if you look closely at the teeth, they've got this shark's tooth appearance, like a little hook all the way around. And they will get worn like that to a point where one or two will start to crack and fracture, and you'll feel a vibration in the bike as it rolls along. So that is a genuinely worn belt, and none of the teeth are actually missing. A couple of them are cracked, but none of them have been stripped clean off. So that's what a belt looks like when it's just worn. Now, with this one, when we take a look at the belt, well over half the teeth have literally been just stripped clean off it, and 2 or 3 in between as well. And we've actually got a little pile of teeth as well, which I found up on the back of the gearbox. Now, the teeth in question on this, when we take a close look, they're actually really nice. Take a close look. They're plump and fat, and they're not worn in that hook position. So this is not a worn belt at all. This is quite a recent belt. So how on earth did it strip all the teeth off? Something else must have gone wrong to cause this to just tear itself to pieces. And on looking a little bit closer, we didn't have to look too far. When we took a look at the pulleys, that's exactly where the fault lies. Right, taking a look first of all at the rear pulley. Forget the fact that the powder coat's all flaked off with the weather. That's neither here nor there. It's the teeth that we're looking at. Now these are chrome plated normally, and the chrome was all worn off or flaked off or gone in one way or another. Taking a magnet, you can then see that what's left behind is aluminium. The teeth on the rear pulley are not steel. Now in aluminium, that's very soft. Once the chrome has gone, that's the durable, hard-wearing surface, it just wears away. And as they've worn away, they've become hooked, jagged. You can see, looking at that closely, that they are in a terrible condition. Not just the outsides here of the teeth, but down in the pits at the bottom. All that jagged wear. It's just horrible. And when you put your finger in there, that's sharp, horrible, and definitely would have done damage to the belt. And taking a look at the front pulley, you can see it's the same story. They're jagged, rough, all the chrome plating has worn off. These teeth are sharp, hooked slightly, and the gaps between them are way bigger than they used to be because, again, the smooth, hard-wearing chrome is gone, leaving just the steel behind, and that wears off quickly under load. So this pulley and the rear were definitely responsible for doing the damage. Now, just to give you, again, a benchmark, like with the worn-out belt from before, this pulley is an old pulley from the Sportster. It's done about 15,000 miles. So I want to use this as an example to show you what a pulley looks like when it's done a little bit of wear, but it's still got all the chrome on it. It's not deteriorated like these have. So have a look at this as an example compared with that one, nice and close. As you can see, the silver shiny finish, that's the chrome. It's all nice and smooth. There's no jaggedness to anything. Down in the bottom of the grooves, it's all smooth. And that is a pulley with a little bit of wear that's fine to carry on using. Right, now, just got to say straight away, you can put a new belt onto old pulleys, but not in this condition. The pulleys in question must be like this, absolutely smooth, all the chrome still intact and in lovely condition, but they're not. When they're like this, that's where the damage has occurred. And looking into it more closely, the reason it's gone this way is when you consider a belt in situ, in its place, you'll know, as we do, that it's a critical tension. It has to be tensioned in the right way so it's nice and tight and it doesn't jump the teeth on the pulleys. Now, doing that, when one of these teeth gets knocked off by these horrible raggedy pulleys, one tooth missing gives a little bit more slack. So then it comes round with that little bit more slack and it breaks another one off, and then another one. And the amount of slack in the belt, it's increasing. It's getting looser and looser as it's knocking the teeth off. And it gets to a point where the front pulley just spins. It jumps all the teeth and it just batters a load of them off in a row. And that's where you end up with no teeth left on the belt and a big pile of the teeth on the floor beside the bike. And obviously the motivation for taking the decision to replace only the belt and put it onto these horrible worn out pulleys is probably, I can imagine, financial. Because looking at the bill for this, ordering up the parts, the belt, £260. But these two pulleys, with the bearings, especially this rear one, which is very expensive, between them, £450. So you can see the whole bill, with all the gaskets, is way into four figures, as opposed to a couple £100 for a rear belt. So that was the unwise decision taken by somebody in the past, and this is the consequences to the somebody in the future that picked up the bill. So anyway, where are we now and what do we do next? Right, so there are four people involved in this. There's us, kind of peripheral, but there's also the owner, the dealer that sold it to him, and a finance company involved in the mix as well. Now, the three of them will thrash out what's going to happen next, and then we will do whatever the outcome is. And there could be two outcomes. Either, here's the parts, they've sorted out who's going to pay for it, and I'll rebuild it and we'll finish this. Alternatively, it'll have to go somewhere else to be done under someone else's liability or whatever, and I'll be told to just put it back together enough to put the wheel in and roll it off the lift, and then I can carry on with the next project. So whatever happens, we won't know yet. I'm still waiting. That's why this has been on the lift for 4 weeks, but we're nearly there. We know that the final decision is sometime in the next 5 working days. Right, I think the obvious moral of the story is caveat emptor, buyer beware. If you buy a used motorcycle, it doesn't matter whether it's a Harley Davidson or a Japanese bike, it doesn't matter whether you buy it from a main dealer or a supermarket or whether you buy it from some guy up the road. It's up to you to make sure that the bike is safe and it's not going to hit you in the face financially like this with a bill that's well over £1,000. It really is nasty when that happens, and unfortunately I think we've all been there at some point or another. So do everything you possibly can to be careful. Remember, any motorcycle, it's on a journey through its life, from the day it's in the showroom to the day it's in the breaker's yard. And that journey, that downward decline, you're buying it somewhere on that journey. You're picking it out of its journey, and it's going to be yours and your responsibility for that time forward. So have a look at what's going to come and hit you in the face. Consumables wear out at different rates, not just tyres and brake pads, but bigger things like belts and really big things like pulleys that are a lot of money. So it's that sort of stuff you should be checking, not just how much tread is on the tyres, because you replace those as a matter of course. They're consumable like fuel and oil, but things like pulleys, with the price of them, definitely worth checking. I think you'll agree. Anyway, I'm sure you've got stories like this yourself, and I'd love to hear them in the comments and the outcome and how you got over it. For us, we'll wait to see what happens, and we'll bring you it in a video as soon as we know. Anyway, thank you for watching today. Take it easy, ride safe. I'll see you next time.